Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and we're giving a review of the T-34-3. This is the new Tier 8 Chinese medium tank, getting released with 8.8. It's characterized by solid front armor, solid mobility, and the best part, a wonderful, wonderful gun. It does an average damage of 390, severely outclassing the average damage of other mediums in the Tier 8 category. It has only 175 penetration, which might seem a little bit light, but on a medium tank it's actually very workable. The tank has good enough mobility. It's not best in tier, it's definitely not worst in tier, it's definitely not a detriment of the tank. This replay is actually the first game that I played in the T-34-3. It's very instructive for a couple reasons. Right now, I'm looking at the aim time of the gun. This is on the test server, and the bloom on the gun is a little bit large, and you can see that the aim time is relatively long. However, it has good accuracy over distance. You'll see me in this video shooting over and over and over again at ranges of 400 plus meters. The aim time lends itself to requiring a vertical stabilizer, a gun laying drive, along with a rammer. It's a low damage per minute tank, clocking in at about 1700 damage per minute, which is a tad on the low side for a Tier 8 medium. However, the main crux of the tank is that wonderful, wonderful gun. 390 damage is wonderful because the larger you have your average damage is better, simply because this means you expose yourself for less shots. You expose yourself for shorter durations of the time. You have to hit less shots to accomplish the same amount of effort. In a premium tank, this is great because to deal your damage in hit points, you only have to hit realistically 4 shots. That's not that hard to do. So I'm pinging the mini-map. We're on steps here, and it's starting to get interesting from a viewpoint of what this tank can really do. So far I've just been sniping with it, and it's not been incredibly interesting. But now we're starting to get into a part of the game where some of the quirks of the tank show themselves. Now it's a Chinese tank, which means it has very little gun depression. And you see me right here, I have to really get up on the ridge to fully utilize the gun. And you'll see me kind of adjusting at points where I think I should be able to lower my gun enough, but I can't lower my gun enough. And you'll see me kind of, I wouldn't say struggle with it, come to terms with it. The overall purpose of the tank is to be very mobile, and it's to deal very high shock value damage. And that's balanced out by being able to not lower your gun quite enough. So while it has great frontal protection, sometimes it's difficult to use that frontal protection because you can't just peek your turret over a hill and shoot anyone. You have to fully expose the tank. So that's why your frontal protection is necessary. Here I'm trying to use the side of the hill, and I'm trying to fake gun depression by kind of climbing up the side of a hill and pointing sideways. Didn't quite work. But when you're on a flank like this, and I'm flanking these two tanks, you can see the quick devastation that you can wreak. 400 hit points per shot is not a small amount. Also notice that none of my shots have really gone too much astray. The gun is still very good at range. I'm pulling my shots a little bit, which means I'm not allowing the reticle to close all the way. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm trying to see if the snapshot performance is pretty good. And it's not amazing, but it's definitely acceptable. It's not as bad as, say, an IS-3. It's not as good as a T-62. It's somewhere in the middle. Regarding the credit earnings of the tank, the credit earnings are very, very good. In this game, I end up doing roughly 4,000 damage give or take, and making well over 100,000 credits. And that's using 0 premium ammo. That's another reason why I really enjoy this tank, is you don't need premium ammo to make it worthwhile. I really hate using gold rounds for heat or APCR when you're in a credit making tank and you want to grind credits and you're like, wow, this tank isn't usable if I don't shoot gold rounds. To me, that's a real flaw in the tank. I don't like tanks like the KV-5 and the IS-6 for that reason. They're very good tanks if they shoot gold rounds. It's just not my deal. What if I'm going to pay money, I want a credit earner. Again, that's my thing. Maybe it's yours, maybe it's not. Maybe you want a pub stomping tank that's going to shoot APCR or heat. Go for it. So here the game is about winding down, and this phase of the game is what we in the business like to call damage whoring. Now you see I just bounced a shot from the IS-3. It kicked a little bit high into the turret. Very good frontal protection due to the amazing slope. Racking up the damage like this, you can see, look at the acceleration. It's fairly good. The top speed is just below the Type 59's. The Type 59 has a top speed of 55 kmh. This has a top speed of 50 kmh. It's actually equivalent, and here's why. The Type 59 will never reach that top speed unless he's going downhill, whereas the T-34-3 actually does reach the top speed very effectively. One thing to note, you'll see that I got hit in the rear there and started on fire. If you do get hit in the sides, I've played many more games in the tank after this one, you will burn. And so I do like having the premium fire extinguisher on it. However, I think this is a great tank. People should not be disappointed that they didn't release the Type 59. This is a very worthwhile and fun substitute.